keep an eye on time as well. But yeah, if you could time it, that would be great. Yeah, okay, brilliant. Breathe as well, yes, certainly for that.
Start and people are walking there's half an hour, 20 minutes a lot of fun. Yeah, I think the minute the hand comes, the first hand comes, hopefully it's towards the last part of it. Same here.
No, today. Right after. Yeah. Is that.
We're in the middle over there, and then you've got the screen, and you'll.
Sir, you're the moderator again.
Yeah.
Busy day. So I think we will be starting the session in a few minutes. Just need a speech. Like, yeah, we are ready now. Are you ready? Yeah, we are ready. Yes.
Okay.
We can start now.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining this final session of the YLP Day today here in Busan. For those of you who were in attendance at the session just before lunch, this afternoon session we're going to introduce the regional finalists, the 4 regional finalists for the 2022 YLP Award. It was a slightly different structure to this next hour, so I hope you enjoy it and can engage with the presentations that you're about to see. I have pleasure again in moderating this session this afternoon, which is a great pleasure on my part. My name is Mike Yarwood, Managing Director of Loss Prevention at TT Club, and I've had the honour to be involved now in the YLP Award as Chair of the Steering Committee for around 7 years. I've personally found involvement in this award to be hugely rewarding. The support from the Steering Committee, the judges, the FIATA HQ team, the national associations, and of course the creativity, dedication and expertise of the candidates never fails to deliver. With the fantastic support of the FIATA HQ team and the steering committee, it's fantastic to return to an in-person event this year in Busan and to be able to interact with both the regional winners, our overall winner who will be announced later in the week, and everybody in the room again. For over 20 years now, FIATA and TT Club have been providing valuable training opportunities for the young rising stars of the industry by organising this annual contest. Formerly known as the Young International Freight Forwarder of the Year Award, the award from 2022, from this year, becomes the Young Logistics Professional Award, to show in part that all the young bright minds in this field, whichever their specialisation, are welcome to participate. The award demonstrates recognition by FIATA and TT Club of the need to develop skilled human resources in the freight forwarding and logistics sector and to acknowledge and reward young talents. I'm extremely pleased this afternoon to be joined by our 4 regional winners from 2022, and I'll pass the floor to each of our regional winners very shortly, who will each in turn present around their dissertation that was submitted into the competition. After each presentation, we'll have a very short Q&A, and hopefully that will give opportunity to challenge our candidates here. I sincerely hope that you have the opportunity through the week, those of you who are remaining through the rest of the Congress, to meet with our 4 individuals here and the 4 young regional finalists and winners that we introduced you to this morning. Through the various sessions during the headquarters meeting in Geneva earlier in the year, I think there was a common theme in a lot of the meetings, and that was the challenge around recruitment and retention and attracting the next generation into our industry. This session, as this morning's did, provides an opportunity to meet and hear from a selection of brilliant young minds that have elected to join and embrace the industry. So I now have great pleasure in asking our first regional finalist to join us and run through a presentation. Ravimbo Gukwe, representing SFAAZ Zimbabwe and Region Africa Middle East. Ravimbo's dissertation was titled Growth by COVID. And if I could ask you to take the floor, please.
When I was in primary school, my mother used to buy me oversized uniforms. Now, I'm not talking about one size bigger. I'm not talking about two sizes bigger. I'm talking about 3, maybe even 4 sizes bigger. So I basically used to walk around looking like this. So you might look at that picture and probably think I had a rough time in primary school. But surprisingly, most of the people in my primary school looked like that. It was as though all the parents in our school had a secret meeting and agreed to punish us for going to school by walking around looking like that. Recently, I saw a picture of myself in primary school and I asked my mother, why did you punish me by making me go around looking like this? I expected a very interesting answer, like I was trying to save money, or I wanted you to be punished for going to school. But surprisingly, she looked at me and said, why didn't you grow? Why didn't you grow? That's what she chose to ask me. So my dissertation is based exactly on that. Why didn't you grow? COVID was very unexpected for all of us, and it hit Zimbabwe very tragically and affected our economy in many ways. But just as it came unexpectedly, it also introduced areas of growth and areas where we could expand our economy. And my dissertation was based exactly on that. The first product that I chose to do was a portable oxygen concentrator. Now, for some of you, even most of you, this product must be very familiar. This is a product that you probably know someone who has it, you might have experienced it. But for us in a growing economy, this would be considered a luxury product. This would be a product that you couldn't get over the counter. So when I decided to do this product, it was because I was looking for alternatives to gas tanks, especially with the challenges of electricity in Zimbabwe, with the challenges of remote areas with insufficient health facilities. This product presented an opportunity for growth. Some of the challenges that came with importing that product was actually understanding the product itself. As someone who had never actually seen it, someone who had never interacted with it, but I chose to do it regardless. And another challenge that came with this product is that it's associated with many restrictions on purchases. And it has a lithium battery, which is considered a dangerous good as well. Another challenge also was within the modes of transport that you can use to import this product. It has limitations on air transport, and as well as it requires certain temperatures when importing it. These are some of the challenges that I encountered with this product. For my export product, I chose to do alloyed steel railway rails. Alloyed steel railway rails. This was a collaboration product between 2 companies located in 2 different countries. The first one was Zimbabwe, and the other one was Kenya. Both companies were coming together and combining raw materials in their own different countries to produce a product that would supply the needs of the Dubai Railway project. Now, as you can imagine, a collaboration of this nature comes with challenges, with communication, with liaison, with timelines. And those were some of the challenges that were faced with this product. Another huge challenge was that an alloyed steel product can go through a process of de-alloying. Now, this is a process where salt water encounters the product and renders it completely useless by separating the merged materials. So I had to consider this as I was using a very large sea leg of the journey for the final export. So these are some of the challenges that I encountered with my second export product. All this to say that the pandemic hit us and it affected us, not only us as Zimbabwe, but the entire world. But such opportunities came to light. Opportunities in collaboration, opportunities in developing logistics networks that opened up opportunities for countries which you wouldn't normally order certain products from. Now, in closing, I'm going to leave you with a statement by Nelson Mandela. It is in the character of growth to learn from both pleasant and unpleasant circumstances. Now, it could be pleasant as a child growing into their own body and wearing a comfortable uniform, or it could be as unpleasant as the pandemic, but growth is still possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just a quick question from myself, and then we'll just open it up to the audience. You mentioned the export shipment, railway rails, good tongue twister. You managed to get through that a couple of times there, which was very impressive. But I thought that was a fascinating one, and maybe one we'd not seen before. You mentioned collaboration between two countries. I just wonder whether you could tell us a little bit more about that, maybe around sort of any trade agreements that were in place that helped facilitate that.
So between Zimbabwe and Kenya, there are currently about 7 bilateral trade agreements, and they're all towards working together to improve trade between the two countries and to enable growth. And some of them cover youth employment and women empowerment, and they also remove tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers from the importation and exportation of products between the two countries. So this enables the trade relations to be stronger. So this type of union of these two companies would be very welcome between these two countries. Thank you.
Any questions from the floor before we move on? No? Okay, in that case, thank you very much, Rivambo. Our next regional winner is Karina Perez, representing CIFA Canada and the Americas region. So if we can welcome Karina. Karina's dissertation was titled Resilient Solutions, the Future of Freight Forwarding and Logistics. And please take it away.
Thank you, Mike. It is a great honor for me to be here today presenting my dissertation, Resilient Solutions, the Freight Forwarding and Logistics. And I am very fascinating about this industry, the international transportation and logistics. I think it is a very challenging and fascinating industry. And today I would like to share with you the idea of combining the use of a statistical analysis in the selection of transportation routings. Just think of your journey to this day. We all use any mode of transportation to get here, and we have several options. I work at DSV in Canada, and I'm proud to say that Canada, we won as a global corporation the Climate Strategy Award in 2021. And today I would like to share with you some of the things that we are doing at DSV, and also I would like to share some facts that you might not know about Canada. Canada, besides being the second largest country in the world, and besides being well known as a winter wonderland, well, Canada has been impacted due to natural disasters during the last couple of months, such as wildfires and floods. And for that reason, there is a strong focus on sustainability on my dissertation. Besides that, Canada is one of the top 5 gold-producing countries in the world. And the mines are usually located in remote areas, and a huge amount of power is required for the extraction and processing of the minerals such as gold. For that reason, this industry relies greatly on generator engines to fulfill their power needs. One of my customers reached out to me to collaborate with them as a logistics specialist in their mining expansion project. They needed to import generator engines coming from Germany, which were weighing 160,000 kilograms. Just to put it into perspective, think of a male African bush elephant, which they normally weigh up to 6,000 kilograms. So each of the engine would weigh 28 elephants, which is a lot. And after several structure reviews and analyzing the route surveys, we determined that we wouldn't be able to deliver those goods to the mine. For that reason, if we have to analyze that if details are not carefully reviewed when plans are being made for project cargo, even the best laid plans can fall apart. So for that reason, I proposed to my customer to purchase 10 units from the same supplier of a different model. They were weighing 60,000 kilograms, so they were still oversized. And we could analyze several modes of transportation to deliver these goods to the mine site. So similar to us being able to have different options to get to Mexico today, we could also select different ports of discharge. But this was one of our main challenges because whichever port we select, it was going to have a great impact on the inland transportation portion, such as cost, transit time, and sustainability. For that reason, I proposed the use of a statistical analysis of decision-making, considering those three factors, so that we could select the best possible route. And the one that we selected was Bécancour Port, based on all of these three factors. We faced several challenges within this project because we have to have the rail cars ready at the time of vessel arrival, because vessel demurrage detention charges are very costly. And also, we have to consider the weather conditions. In Canada, we have harsh winters, and we need to be carefully selecting which is going to be the best time of year to ship these goods. Because also, when it rains and we cannot control the weather, the trucks need to run slower. So all in all, after all the challenges, we were able to deliver these oversized generator engines to the mine. And not only that, but we also saved 46 tons of carbon dioxide emissions. Just to put it into perspective, to offset 1 ton of carbon dioxide emission, 31 to 46 trees are needed. So now, I am going to take you to a different part of the world. So please, buckle up, and let's get started with the exportation project. As the third wave of COVID-19 hit, Peru was still battling the dengue epidemic that has been difficult to control. The dengue affects around 700 million people in the world, and the symptoms are similar to those of the coronavirus. So there was an urgent need to export liquid insecticide to Peru, because Peru was still battling the dengue epidemic that has been difficult to control. The pesticide industry in Canada contributed 176 million Canadian dollars to the 2021 GDP. This product was considered dangerous goods under Class 3 flammable liquid, and it needed to be shipped from ocean to air because it was required urgently at destination. So there is one of our main challenges as freight forwarders to be able to quickly shift from one mode to another when it's a dangerous goods cargo, because these goods present a higher degree of danger during transportation. We analyzed several routes for the delivery of these goods, and we faced many challenges during this project because some of the boxes were hit at the shipper's location. So they were not able to shift, to be able to deliver the goods to the, if we needed to repack and properly label. So all the documentation needed to be revised very quickly because we needed to make it to the airline's cutoff. And during that time, there were travel restrictions in place. So some of the airplanes, they removed the seats on top of the airplanes so that we could store cargo on top. This was a resilient solution to keep the air industry moving. What I want to emphasize today is that there are more than one options to deliver the freight from a point A to a point B. But whichever option we select will have a great impact in the future that we're building. We're building solutions so that any unforeseen events such as the COVID-19 will not significantly impact our daily lives. Because we are building resilient solutions which are the future of freight forwarding and logistics. Thank you.
Thank you. Give you a second to take your seat. So sustainability and minimizing environmental impact was picked up in virtually all of the dissertations this year, which I think is really great to see, and it's great to see that the young minds are starting to think about those challenges. But working in a sales-focused role, how do you perceive the demand for lower emission services? So are your customers actively pushing for these services, and how are you maybe differentiating from your competitors and your peers?
Thank you for the question, Mike. Yes, for me as a sales representative now at DSB, well, I have been part of the operations teams as well, both air and ocean, and I have been handling import and export shipments. So the conversations with my clients run smoother when I propose to them solutions because they trust that the service that they will receive will be good. So yes, I perceive that the demand is a joint collaboration within the customers and us as logistics professionals to implement these solutions, because sometimes the clients are not aware, and it is our responsibility as freight forwarders to let them know which are other options to mitigate these carbon dioxide emissions. And as I am learning from my colleagues as well from the sales perspective, is that bigger corporations are pushing on having reporting, and this is something very important for them because they have to meet certain target in the emissions. So it is becoming something that we cannot overlook anymore because we are being impacted, and we see that as in our day-to-day that there are natural disasters in our world, and we have to do something more now that we are in the freight forwarding and logistics industry, and we are one of the major stakeholders in this, doing something for the climate action. And that is something that I have seen, and I'm very happy that all of us are taking into consideration that.
Fantastic. Any questions from the floor for Karina? No? Oh, no. No. Okay, so great pleasure now handing the floor to our third regional finalist this year, a winner, Avishka Sravastava, representing FFAI India and region Asia Pacific. Avishka's dissertation was titled Sustainability Through Efficiency, Decarbonizing Trade Lanes Through Sustainable Logistics. So if I could hand the floor to you, Avishka.
Thank you, Mike. Sustainability through logistics efficiency. Is it achievable or just wishful thinking? Annyeong haseo, namaste, konnichiwa, kia ora, assalamu alaikum, ni hao, and warm greetings to everyone. It's an honor and a privilege to be representing the vibrant countries of the Asia Pacific. I am Avishkar Srivastav, a young logistics professional from India, a country famous for its food, culture, music, and of course, Bollywood. And we are also famous for our philosophies. One of them is Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, which translates to the world is a family. If you think about it, the logistics fraternity is one big family, right? We come from different parts of the world to wonderful conventions such as this, and we interact with each other, get to know each other's stories, and we try to find ways for mutual growth. This spirit of collaboration has been the essence of my dissertation. My dissertation has talked about two case studies, an export and an import, where logistics players from across the board joined hands and collaborated to transform the hinterland city of Eastern India called Durgapur. So let's begin. Here is a picture of a typical export land movement from India to Bangladesh. Trucks arrive at the border, and due to infrastructure congestions, they remain stuck for weeks and months on end. Think of the poor Indian truck drivers who stay stranded away from their families for long periods of time due to the infrastructure bottlenecks. During the pandemic, the land borders came to a close indefinitely. Our neighbors did not even have the essential commodities. There was a state of panic. Could the logistics industry just wait for the pandemic to end and for the land borders to open up? No. The world depends on logistics professionals, and we had to come together to find new ways to collaborate. The result? During the COVID pandemic, we had the first ever multimodal rake shipment from Durgapur to Bangladesh. Now think about it, the first ever shipment during times of a pandemic. Of course, there were challenges. The rail terminal at the destination did not have the infrastructure to handle general purpose containers. So, in short notice, side open containers had to be arranged for this shipment. The agricultural products were moving to Bangladesh, and yet, due to labor shortages, the rice mills were under severe pressure because they had to load a sufficient amount of cargo in a very short period of time. But through the power of oneness and collaborations, this movement was successful, and an inaugural rake shipment happened from Durgapur to Bangladesh, where not only did we meet the supply of the agricultural products, but we did so in a sustainable manner with reduced carbon emissions because we shifted the chunk of the movement through rail. I would say this happened because the logistics industry during the pandemic moved from a circle of concern to a circle of influence. So what is a circle of concern? It's worrying about things which are not in our control. We could not just wait for the land borders to open up or the pandemic to end. We went inside our circle of influence, which means we focused on things we could actually change, like analyzing the existing trade lanes and actively interacting with stakeholders. And this is a result why this export movement was successful during the crisis. This mindset helped us solve a similar problem on the import side of things. We are all aware of driver shortages during the pandemic. India was no different. And Durgapur is in the hinterland region, over 200 kilometers away from any gateway port. During this time, we had to handle a 1600 container shipment from North Lincolnshire in the UK to the hinterland city of Durgapur. The container shortage was also an issue, and our UK partners had done extensive planning to make sure the containers would be loaded on the vessels. But once the containers arrive at the gateway port, could we just wait for the drivers to come back? No. The world depends on logistics professionals. We had to collaborate. Once the vessels arrived at the gateway ports, they were quickly transferred to a rail terminal in Kolkata, the gateway port where the vessel arrived. From here, the cargo moved to a rail terminal in Durgapur. The last mile delivery took place by road. The cargo was de-stuffed on time, and the importer did not have to pay a single penny of detention to the shipping lines during that period. Now the importer was worried at the time because they were needing the commodity to arrive at their factories, else the factories would stop operating, and that would have a big effect on the local economy. However, they were pleased to see the resilient logistics partners because when the world needed logistics, we stepped up. We made sure that the cargo arrives in the hinterland, we are able to de-stuff the cargo, and we are able to deliver the cargo, the empty containers back to stop the detention charges. Sustainability through efficiency. Yes, it is achievable. In these two case studies, we saw the Indian customs, the Bangladeshi customs, the UK customs, the custom broker fraternity, freight forwarders, container rail operators, and road transporters all came together with a spirit of collaboration and a spirit of oneness to make a positive contribution to not just solve a crisis, but to positively contribute to the UN sustainable goals with the spirit of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. So it's only fair, since I talked about collaborations and family, that I end with a small glimpse of my family. This is a picture of me and my father at the 2018 FIATA World Congress in New Delhi. I was just a beginner that time starting into the logistics industry. If someone told me that time, 4 years later, I would be representing region Asia Pacific, I would have never believed it. So to all the youngsters out there, believe in this industry. It has a lot of opportunities. And to all the industry experts here, thank you for supporting us. And we need your continued support so that we can truly make this a sustainable industry and a highly aspirational one for all youngsters. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you very much, Avishka. Another fascinating dissertation and presentation. Thank you. Back to the topic of sustainability. As I mentioned, it was involved in just about every dissertation this year, and the journey to net zero emissions is one that inevitably affects us all in one way or another, and it's a truly fascinating and vitally important topic. In your dissertation, you focused on driving operational efficiencies versus maybe changing fuel type or energy source. And I think this is a really important aspect along that journey towards net zero. But in your experience and opinion, do you see this as the most important first step?
Thank you. See, I feel we have to look at sustainability, the road to sustainability as a staircase and not an elevator. Because an elevator just jumps you from first floor to 50th floor, but the world realities are different. In South Asia, I really feel we need to look at it step by step, and operational efficiency is very important because in the future, maybe there will be alternate fuels coming in. There may be trucks running on electricity. But at the end of the day, if the road network is so congested, we will always end up having incremental changes taking place. The first we have to understand, are we utilizing our infrastructure in an efficient manner or not? And if we are not, what are the ways we can first work upon that? So that when new technologies come in, the growth and the changes will be more transformational in nature rather than incremental. So I do believe, yes, that operational efficiencies is the first important starting point for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. So that brings us to our fourth and final regional winner. Joining us today, Max Dröschler, representing DSLV Germany and Region Europe. Max's dissertation was titled Logistics' Crucial Role in the Battle Against the UN Global Issues. So if I can, the floor to you, Max.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike, and welcome to our short talks about our dissertations this year. You already mentioned my title of the dissertation, so I don't have to do it. Thanks. Yeah, I would like to share with you why I chose that topic and why I chose the exact transports I wrote about to illustrate the topic. And to do that, I would like to ask yourself a question. When was the last time you heard logistics in public news? Not logistics news, public news. And what was it about? Maybe it was about a logistics accident, maybe the Ever Given stuck in Suez Canal. Or maybe it was about congested roads, complaining that there are all the trucks on the roads congesting the highway. Or maybe it was about air pollution, and that transport sector is one of the major sources for greenhouse gas emissions. So what I want to say with that is that transport sector and logistics sector has a very bad image in public. And I wanted to change that with my dissertation and show what a crucial role logistics plays in important projects for the battle against UN global issues, not only for our economies. And to do that, I chose two transports. Firstly, an export from Germany to the European spaceport in Kourou, French Guiana. And this one was a satellite. And satellite provide us with very important informations and signals. For example, they give us very important internet signals for remote healthcare systems, for remote learning systems, for good quality education. But they also provide us with very informative data with their satellite pictures and satellite sensors. For example, we can analyze crop production to fight world hunger, or we can also do some observations of the Earth's atmosphere, of biodiversity to fight climate change. So it's a very important project, the satellite, and it would not be possible without the help of us logistics professionals, because it is a very complex shipment. As you see on the picture, it has very huge dimensions. Of course, it depends on the use of the satellite and how big it is, but it has very huge dimensions. We could only load it into one type of aircraft, the Antonov 124. And yeah, it has also high value. It's in the 3 to 4 digit million range. And in combination to that, it is very fragile and sensitive, not only for shocks, also for its surrounding climate. So you need to keep so-called clean room conditions, and they are strictly regulated. Otherwise, if you don't keep them the whole transport, the satellite gets broken and needs to be sent back to the shipper. And yeah, my second transport was about the transformer, new transformer technology from Netherlands to Germany, an import. And transformer is also very important in our fight for climate change, new transformer technology, because our overall goal is to cover our demand for energy with 100% renewable energy, clean energy. And that's only possible if we have efficient ways to produce it and also efficient ways to distribute it from its source to its sink, where we need the energy. And this transport was also very difficult. Maybe not on the main carriage, it was via inland waterways directly from Netherlands. So that's not that complicated, but it was very complicated in terms of the on-carriage in Germany, because it was very huge. It was 5 meters in height and 12 meters long, and it weighed over 270 tons. So it was very heavy. And we had to do structural analysis of the road construction. We had to make sure that we distribute the weight in a certain area big enough to cover it and distribute the weight so that the road construction doesn't break. And we ended up with a transport combination, a truck-trailer combination of over 70 meters. So it was a pretty big transport, as you can see on the pictures. And as you can see with these two projects, logistics is very important. It is not only an interesting job and very complex, but it is very important in our fight against UN global issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Max. A quick question. The export shipment of satellite, I thought, was one of the most interesting topics and cargoes that I'd seen over the years. Hugely complex in so many different ways, from the dangerous goods aspect to its sensitivity to its sheer value. I wouldn't like to be the insurer insuring that. What would you consider to have been the greatest risk to that shipment through the movement?
I think the greatest risk and the biggest challenge was the combination of the high value and the sensitivity of the cargo. So I told you it's not only the shock sensitivity, it is also the sensitivity for the surrounding climate. So the clean room conditions, so-called clean room conditions, you need to keep it between 15 and 25 degrees Celsius throughout the whole transport. And you also need to control the humidity and the particle concentration. So it's very difficult, and there's also accompanying staff from the shipper's company, and they accompany the transport throughout until it arrives at the crew at the Europe Spaceport. So yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge.
Fantastic, thank you very much. I'd like to open the floor to questions now to any of our 4 regional finalists, if there are any questions before we wrap up. Joseph? Do we have a microphone? No. Do we have a microphone? It's coming.
Thank you, Mike. The last presenter touched on a very, very important item, the public image that is there for the industry. It's not very good. We are very well known for the wrong reasons. Apart from the dissertation that you presented to us or that you did, do you have any other suggestions of how we can improve the image of the freight forwarding and logistics industry to the public? Because our image at the moment, I agree with you that it's not correct and we need to correct it.
So that question is for me, I guess.
I think the four of us answer some question.
So I think the problem is that logistics comes into news when something goes wrong. When there's an accident, when there's pollution, they talk about logistics, but not if everything works, because logistics in the background. And if it works, you can see it. COVID helped a bit. As bad as the crisis is, it helped us to better our image, because everyone saw what happens when supply chains don't work. And now they appreciate it a bit more when they work. But I guess we have to encourage people to look behind the processes of the normal economy and look also on the logistics processes. They just go into the supermarket and grab their things, but they don't think about how they get there. So maybe encourage them to think that step behind and appreciate it that they get the stuff from all around the world.
Avishka, do you want to say a few words?
Hello, yeah. So that's a very important question for all of us. I personally feel it starts from us as well, because as logistics professionals, when we are interacting with each other or when we interact with people from other industries, we are often the ones who also mention that logistics has X problem, Y problem and Z problem. But as Max mentioned, a lot of things we do is right as well. But often when we are discussing about the industry, we are also focusing on points which are the negative aspect as well. And in my opinion, what we can do is, in a collective basis, also point out how logistics is solving these complex world problems as well. To make it a high prestige industry needs a collective effort from all of us. Even when situations go bad, we need to also understand who the logistics partner was, what was the issues from his side, and not jump on conclusions that, yeah, suppose, where sometimes it happens that, yeah, if that company did a mistake, I can do it better. But no, maybe there were some genuine problems, and if we also will try our best, but it's not like the logistics person is bad. There can be some unforeseen situations. So collectively, if we start focusing on the positive aspects of the industry, I think that will start reflecting on the other areas as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Yes, I also think that, similar to my peers, as of now, having that, for example, during COVID times, when everything shut down, we saw that logistics was one of the essential business. So I think that all in all, what we are doing as logistics professionals is having a great impact in the world. This industry is considered an essential business. Everything was shut down but us. We had to keep moving the freight, and especially the vaccines, because people were dying, and not only that, there are also other diseases that we need to address. And I think that as we are working in this logistics and freight forwarding industry, we know that our role is very important. So I think that that is something very important to consider, that whatever we're doing is also to the benefit of the world, because all of the countries, we need from each other. We don't have the same natural resources in all over the world, so we need to share within one another. And I think that's one of the important things about our industry, and what we have to emphasize, that we need to keep the cargo moving, and how we do it, that's going to be impacting in the future, the actions that we take. How are we offsetting the carbon dioxide emissions? Are we implementing the planting trees, or what are the other alternatives, using biofuels, which it was mentioned earlier this morning? All of that, I think it's something very important, and we can emphasize, all of us, as we are building the future together, I think that's something important to remark, that our industry is doing great in the world. Thank you.
So in terms of image, a huge factor is information. So the information that is being put out concerning our industry. So if we can take back that information and control the narrative, and we put out the information that shows that we participate, that we're important to the growth of the economy, that what we're doing matters. So for example, when a huge project is going on, like any of these projects that we mentioned here, we should take control of the narrative, we should publicize it, we should control the information that goes out, so that we make sure that not only the bad things that are happening are being reported by the media, but we also make sure that the good things, the important things, the development things that are happening, we also put them out ourselves, not wait for other people to report the movements and the growth that we're doing within our industry itself. So that's how I think we can improve our image, through participation, through renovating the information, the narrative that is being pushed on us. That's how we can improve the image of our participation globally. Thank you.
Thank you very much for a great question, Joseph. I think we've got all the panelists thinking and some fascinating answers. Any more questions from the floor? Okay. Well, just in sort of closing then for a couple of moments, just to thank you very, very much for your preparations and participation in this session, and indeed attending the FIATA World Congress this week. It's greatly appreciated on behalf of everybody. It truly is encouraging to see the next generation represented at FIATA in this way, in these YLP days, and many congratulations to you all on being selected as regional winners through the competition. As mentioned earlier, the steering committee, with the unwavering support of the FIATA HQ team, were able to ensure that the 2022 competition has been concluded again this year, and the overall winner for the 2022 competition will be announced later this week during the gala dinner. I would like you please to join me in congratulating all 4 of our regional winners on stage here today for their achievements to date. I would also like to take the opportunity to extend sincere thanks to my fellow YLP Award Steering Committee members, Mr. Thomas Sim, Antonella Stralino, and Stephen McDermott. Thank you to FIATA, to Sophia Aish and the FIATA HQ team for your continued support, and of course our nominated judges who each year dedicate their time and energy and resource to support the competition. Finally, and importantly, I would also like to thank those national associations who nominate candidates each year and continue to support the YLP Award. It simply wouldn't be possible without your continued support, so thank you very much. For any national association wishing to participate and enter a candidate in future competitions but unsure of the exact process or requirements, I would encourage you please to reach out to the FIATA HQ team, who would endeavour to provide that assistance and support through to the admission stage. I'm sure you'll agree that it's incredibly encouraging to see the careers of these young professionals and our young professionals from this morning developing, and the clear passion that they have for the industry that we work in. I'm greatly encouraged to see these young professionals challenging themselves, and as a result learning, developing their own understanding, and hopefully defining their individual careers. It's clear to see from the presentations that we've seen this afternoon that freight forwarding is a diverse, challenging career, and one that holds great value and it will live with people for a long time. There's not many people that leave this industry, and you know the global nature of it and all the challenges that come really do provide for a varied career. TT Club are particularly and extremely proud to have been able to continue our support and sponsorship of this award. And it's with great pleasure that we're able to celebrate the regional winners here for both 2021 and 2022. And we will celebrate the overall Young Logistics Professional Award winner later this week in Busan. We wish you all the most fantastic success in your career as you move forward from this event. And I've absolutely no doubt that you will all have great success in whichever route that you take through the logistics industry. That sadly brings us to the end of the session this afternoon and the end of the YLP Day. Thank you very, very much for everybody who's joined and attended the sessions through the day. Again, we really genuinely hope that you had a really great day, an insightful day, and that you all take something home and continue to embrace this industry that we currently work in. Thank you.
네, 오늘 YLP Day
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the YLP Day. NTs, you are free to go. If you leave your name on the first floor, we will include you in the participants list. And please leave the interpretation receivers back to the receiving section on your way out. Thank you.